Hello everyone, my name is Vijendra Patil and today we are going to see in this video about Stoicism. We all have heard about being Stoic. Stoic is generally referred to as an attitude in which a person tends to remain calm in adverse situations, in difficult situations. At the same time, such people tend to show an attitude of avoiding extremes in their reaction, show as if they are much more balanced in any kind of situation. We also see this attitude reflected and prescribed in Bhagwad Geeta, particularly the emphasis on self control and restraint. Also, we are taught in Bhagwad Geeta that we should disassociate ourselves from the results and just focus on the process, not the results. In this two very popular virtues, we tend to learn how Bhagwad Gita emphasizes on being stoic. But here we are talking about Stoicism, a philosophy. The first person who spoke about Stoicism was the Zeno of Citium, which is modern day Cyprus. He spoke about Stoicism. In simple terms, if we need to understand about Stoicism, it is that what kind of response an individual gives to a situation depends on how that person's mind is being controlled. So, whatever may be the outside situation, but the response is in your control. That is what Stoicism in simple terms reflect. But how do you get that kind of response? So here the four cardinal virtues which need to be exercised by an individual to ensure that they are stoic truly in their life. These four cardinal virtues are: first, wisdom; second, justice; third, temperance; fourth, courage. Now, wisdom is also known as prudence. Wisdom is basically application of knowledge so that you can apply logic before you take any decision. Likewise, justice is about the virtue of being fair in the decisions that we take. Now we can clearly see over here that wisdom is more about taking a judgment of what is right, whereas justice is actually acting or desiring to be right. So they are both interconnected. We can safely say that wisdom feeds into justice, justice will again strengthen your wisdom. The next virtue of Stoicism is temperance. Temperance, this finds a real analogy with our Bhagwad Gita teaching, which is about restraint. Restraint is about regulating our excessive emotions, but more importantly, it is about delayed gratification. That is, curbing one's own emotions in such a manner that you are able to get a greater good. So you are able to think about the larger context of other people rather than yourself. So temperance is an important virtue. Fourth is courage. Courage, in simple terms, it is a golden mean between being timid and being bold. So you are neither fearful nor excessively fearless. So courage is somewhere in between both being timid and bold, because many a times being fearless excessively is also a sign of being overpowered by emotions. At the same time, being timid is like escaping from the situation. So when a person has all these four cardinal virtues: wisdom, justice, temperance, and courage, that person is more likely to get a response which is within the control of that person, irrespective of what the situation is. Now, after the Zeno of Citium, much later, it was the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius who lived the philosophy of Stoicism. This was greatly reflected into his collection of books which is famously known as meditations. These were basically the journals that Marcus Aurelius had written. These contained the philosophical ruminations of Marcus, since he was a great emperor of Rome and he had won two huge wars. Yet he used to believe that journaling is the best way to master own mind. So after the Zeno of Citium, it was Marcus Aurelius who gave more strength to the Stoicism philosophy. To understand Stoicism further, let us talk about the 9 Stoic rules for better life. First, put people first. Now, this is important because, as I said, we are looking at the greater good, therefore, not getting restricted to our own comfort is very important. It is very important that we get out of the comfort zone, and only then we can put the interest of other people first, and we are going to outgrow ourselves. Second, another path is always open. This is a very important aspect of Stoicism, where we understand that we have the ability to choose and change. That is, how do we respond to a situation is very important. Third, take it step by step. This is reflected in our discipline of action. We cannot change everything immediately or at one stroke. So, there will be changes that we need to take step by step. Some corollary can be drawn to the atomic habits that are being prescribed by James Clear. Fourth, discard your anxiety. This discussion of your anxiety will come from your self awareness. Again, self awareness will come when we are beginning to write our thoughts. We are beginning to write our thoughts in the form of a journal. Only then we'll become more and more self aware. We can also say that self awareness can be achieved through self dialogue, when we are able to segregate the good thoughts and the bad thoughts, the thoughts which are pulling us down and the thoughts which are adding wing to your growth. So discarding anxiety is a very important rule. Next rule is about well begun is half done. This we have always heard, and here it is important that we start our day with a good routine. One of the best suggestions that the followers of Stoics give is we need to start journaling, because journaling is a technique which helps us to have a dialogue with oneself. It is as if we are writing a letter to our inner self. It is as if we are talking to ourselves about what is good, what is bad, and how we should respond. So, we should start journaling as a part of our morning routine. Next is be strict with yourself. So this particular rule again coincides with our temperance, which is about self-regulation, which is about self-discipline. Only then we can move forward. Seventh rule is don't resent people. A very important thing, especially those people who appear or feel to be obstacles to our thoughts, obstacles to our growth. It's very important that we don't resent people, we remain just in the face of injustice, even though we may sometimes feel that the other individuals are trying to bring you down. But let us not treat them as obstacles. Let us also find what goodness is there and in what ways they can be right. Only then we can dispense justice even though we may have faced injustice. So, this coincides well with the second cardinal virtue, that is justice. Eighth, always ask yourself, is this essential? This is very important to attain the virtue of uh, courage, in which we are able to decide about what is essential or not, and only take courageous decision to move ahead. Next is ninth rule, in which we have to remember these mantras. A very famous mantra. One is Amor Fati. Amor Fati is a Latin word which means love of fate. It is important that we realize that whatever is happening is not happening to us, rather, it is happening for us. In Hindi, we often say that जो हुआ अच्छे के लिए हुआ. So Amar Fati is that particular mantra which will always help us to embrace and appreciate life as it is and look for positivity as we move forward. The next mantra is Memento Mori. It means remember you must die. When you remember you must die, you also realize that life is short. And when you know life is short, you will start living as if it is your last day. In this way, if we just see that the whole Stoicism philosophy revolves around these four cardinal virtues: wisdom, justice, courage, temperance. And all these will enable you as a person to sharpen your response such that your response is in your control and not in the control of external factors. I'm sure that this short video has helped us understand briefly in a simple manner what Stoicism is, and I will be very happy if you can give feedback on this particular video. Thank you so much for listening to me very patiently.